Hey everyone, I am doing something a little different. I decided to kind of walk through the whole process of how I make an entire junk journal, starting with the cover. And I'm just going to do a series of short little videos, just different steps along the way to hopefully help you if it's your first time, give you some different ideas. Anyway, so this is the book I'm starting with. I picked it up at a thrift shop. It's I picked it for the right size because I knew it was one I was going to be covering with fabric. So I'm just going to show you kind of how I go for it. First of all, I'm just going to cut out these pages, and I just find this little slit right here just between the cover and the pages. Hopefully you can see that on camera. I'll try to get a better angle for you. You just have to be kind of careful so you don't slice through the spine of the book. But you're just going to cut off the pages. So here we go. I don't know if you can see that at all, but I'm trying to do this, and this is a tough angle for me to work at. So hopefully I don't destroy the spine, but I want you to kind of get an idea of what I'm doing. Pretty easy. It's typically not a very tough process. Easy peasy. All right, so then you're left with just the spine of your book. All right. Now, for me, this is going to be a fabric covered book, so the next step is going to be to Mod Podge this little bit of fabric. This is the fabric I chose for it, and I'm just going to Mod Podge it right on to this cover. So, not too hard. I just cut it a little bit bigger than the whole thing, because then I'm going to be kind of folding these pieces over here. And then I will cover this with paper, or you could do more fabric or whatever. But that's going to give you your general idea of where we're headed. So cut this, I don't know, this is probably a little extra big, but the papers I wanted to put in here are a little smaller, so I cut it a little bigger than I normally would. If that helps you. This is about 1 inch to 3/4 of an inch around the whole thing, which, like I said, normally I wouldn't do that much. Now I'm going to grab my Mod Podge, which is much loved and much used, and I'm going to give this a nice thick coat on one of the covers. Making extra care to get inside that crevice because we want the fabric to stick in there as well. And you can tell my Mod Podge is getting kind of older because it's clumping up. It's a little drier than it normally is. Yours is probably a little thinner, and that's good. This is just had the lid left off, I guess, a time or two and dried it out a hair, but it will still work just fine. Sorry for the background noise. We have some people putting a new roof on for us because we had this windstorm that came through and tore part of our roof off. It was crazy. So they're out there on the roof right now getting our new roof on. So we're glad to be getting it on. But it has been a noisy couple of days. That's okay. It's worth it. All right. Now I'm just flattening this on here. Give it a nice rub to make sure you've got everything pressed down. And then just continue to work your way. So I'm just going to come from this angle now. And slob this stuff on there. I do like to go kind of thick. I just want this to be really secure, nice and solid, but I don't want it so thick that it's bleeding through the fabric too much. So I probably got a little much. I'll just spread it this direction. You really can't go wrong with Mod Podge. It's pretty forgiving stuff. All right. I'll just continue on to this part right here. Get that in that crevice really nice. Then I'm going to go ahead and work my way over. So I'm just going to carefully make sure I'm stretching that fabric nice and tight over that spine. And you're going to start to get excited because you're going to start to see how these journals come to shape, and it is just fun. I think I'm working on a botanical junk journal. I want to give one to my mom and my mother-in-law for Christmas. So I'm going to be using lots of pretty wildflower botanical type prints, just really feminine. I guess in my mind I had envisioned this one being a place where they can write down some of their life experiences and how that has shaped them. So I guess I'm thinking of it as a become journal. So I love the idea of the butterfly and the metamorphosis that a butterfly goes through. And so I'll be putting in some fun butterflies too, just to kind of symbolize that change that we all have in our lives based on different experiences and different circumstances that we go through. And I just love that. I just love people and the study of how strong and how amazing we are. So I thought this could kind of be a celebration of that, because my mother and my mother-in-law are two strong, wonderful, loving, giving, just some of the best people I know, and they have made my life so much better. So, and that is in part because of the tough experiences they've gone through and the things that they've experienced, and they use those tough things to bless my life. So I'm really grateful for the good women and the good men in my life who just do so much for me. All right, so I have that totally pressed down here. You can see it through here. That's okay. That's going to dry clear when it's done. That's just the seam right there where I connected the two pieces. So it's just a little thicker there. No big deal. It'll dry clear. And we're going to be decorating it anyway. So, okay. So now we're left with this. Super fun. Now, here's how I like to do the corner. I hope you can see that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be coming around folding all of these in, and then, how do I like to do these? It's been a while. Oh, I know, I put these in first, and then I miter these corners in. So it's going to look kind of like that. Can I zoom in on that for you? All right, so I pull that corner in first, like that, and then I'm going to be mitering these edges down. And it's okay if it doesn't line up perfectly. It's going to get mostly covered by paper anyway. But that's how I'm going to do it, so you have an idea. And you do not need to worry at all about perfection on this, because like I said, most of this is going to get covered later in the other steps of the journal. So don't worry. Just have fun with it. I just buy a ton of these little cheapo brushes because they're kind of disposable in this process. You can wash them and reuse them, but sometimes that seems like it's more trouble maybe than it's worth because it gets pretty gross. So up to you. All right. Just kind of glopping it on there because, like I said, I really want this to hold well. I'm going to put some more on that corner because that's a lot of extra fabric there, which is fine. If you think it's too much, you can go ahead and trim before you Mod Podge it down. No big deal. Okay, and now I'm just sticking this down. Now, you'll notice this kind of sticking up there, so I'm just going to put a little bit extra on top. It will dry really hard and clear, and it'll make a nice stiff cover. So I love that about the extra support that you get with the Mod Podge. All right, let's do the bottom now. Nice thick layer here. I love to see a journal take shape. I love it because it starts out as just this old, $2 book or whatever, and then it just takes shape into this beautiful beautiful place to share your thoughts and your ideas. I just love it. That's why I love it. All right, just stick that down really good, and now I'm pulling this down. And if you come past it, no big deal. Like I said, it will just dry clear. It's going to get covered up with paper later anyway, so it's not going to be a problem. Just try to get the wrinkles out. That's going to be a bigger concern for you later than a little bit of extra glue. I'm just going to really push that down. And these little strings, you can pull them off or not. I'm going to snip this one off because it's kind of a big one. I'll just get rid of it. But not a huge deal. That guy's sticking up just a little bit. So I'm just working my way. If you like to wrap presents, then you are going to love this process because it's all about those angles and just getting everything to look pretty. All right, let's do this end first. Hopefully you can see that well. All right, awesome. Okay, just globbing this on. I needed to get more than that. There we go. Glob it down pretty good. And I usually do let these dry overnight just because the Mod Podge is pretty wet, and I do it that way on purpose just because I want it to be just solid. So it'll usually end up drying overnight, which is fine. Sometimes it's hard to be patient though. I know you know what I mean. I hear you all laughing and understanding that. All right. One more. Just fold that piece in. And just really get that down good. Nice and flat as you can get it. You're gonna get messy, that's okay. We love it, right? Okay, so here is this book cover. That is the gist of it. I am going to go ahead and put in the inner papers here. Don't worry about this. I'll show you how I take care of that later. There's lots of ways to do this. There are so many different tutorials out there. So don't worry about it now. We will worry about that part later. So this is kind of what I wanted to put here. And I am noticing that could be a potential problem, but probably what I'll just do is I'll end up taking care of that with a little extra bit of this fabric. So no big deal. I will just cut me 2 extra little strips of it to go on either side. Ooh, my scissors are not happy with me. You know why, you guys? I used them on paper. Shh. Don't tell. I'm not supposed to do that with my fabric scissors. It makes them not happy with you. But what do you do? What do you do? Okay, so I'm going to put this on either side to cover that green paper that I really don't want to be seeing. It will just take a little extra Mod Podge, stick it right on there. So you'll notice as you're making a journal that you'll have to make these last minute adjustments. That's fine. It's very forgiving. Just go for it. And I generally had this planned out, but I didn't think about this green. So we're thinking about it now. No big deal. I think I'll get it so that it's clear in there. It'll get covered up by the spine that I'm going to put in later. Ooh, that's a little long. Come on up here, buddy. There you go. A little bit more. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to think maybe spring is on the way here. I don't know, but I really hope it is. We just have some birds coming back that I'm hoping are signaling a little bit of spring coming and things like that. It makes me happy. All right. Now, probably if I would have planned ahead, I would have put this underneath this piece right here, but that's okay. No big deal. The Mod Podge will hold it in place, and there's going to be a bunch of decorations around anyway, so You'll hardly see it. And if you do a little bit, it's no big deal. So these are the two papers that I'm putting in on these. And that's going to be all I'm going to be doing today on this video. But, and I am going to Mod Podge these in just because it's the inside cover. I want it to be really sturdy, and it's all going to be drying anyway, so we might as well Mod Podge it in there. Got to be kind of careful because with your papers, the Mod Podge will start to make it really flimsy. So just be aware of that and plan accordingly. Just be a little bit gentle with it. Look at my messy fingers. Good times. All right, that one's done. Give it a really good press down. If you want, you could go over it again. I'm not going to. I'm going to be putting pockets there, so I'm not too worried about it. All right, last one. Just a nice thin layer. And these I printed on both sides. So I'm covering up pretty pictures, but that's okay. That's okay. They'll get used later on too, because I have 2 sets of them, so it'll be great. All right, let's put that one down. Oh, so pretty. I love these papers. There you go. Just kind of match it up with the other side or however you want it. Press that down nice and flat. And then I'm gonna just let this dry overnight and be ready to get to work on it. So stay tuned and I will keep working on this little bits at a time. Hopefully give you some really good ideas and help you out with making a journal if it's your first time, or if you want to try a new method, which I love this method. You're gonna love how this spine is gonna come together, or at least I do. Hopefully you will too. Anyway, I hope you all are doing well and being healthy and happy and having a good time with your craft. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back soon.